All right, welcome to War Media Bears pregame for a Week 5 matchup between the 2-2 Bears. They're in Minneapolis to take on the 3-1 Vikings. I am Saul Rodriguez, along with Joe Tanksley. How are we doing today, man?
Doing pretty good, man. I'm excited to be on this weekend and talk about the Bears. It looks like it's going to be tough sledding this week, but it should be interesting as far as the development of this team in Justin Fields. So
Yeah, I think that's every week, right? It's like you don't know, not you don't necessarily know what to expect. I guess from a neutral perspective, it's interesting there, but obviously you're always just worried. It's kind of like a coin flip. You're like, man, who if the Bears are going to be able to pull this out? And they've won every other week, so I think it's if the schedule if it goes the same way it's been going all year, I think the Bears are going to win this week. But who knows? I'm going to start off. The Bears actually have the least amount of passing yards in the league. They have given up the least amount of passing yards in the league. This week, though, they're facing Justin Jefferson, man. So, how do you think he's going to fare in this week? I mean, I know. You could argue they haven't faced that many wide receivers like Jefferson this season. So, kind of, how do you think he's going to fare against
well,
this pass defense?
this is definitely the yeah. I think this is definitely the best team that the Bears have faced this season. You know, the most balanced team as well. You talked about uh, uh, Jefferson as far as being the best receiver in the game right now, and they also have Dalvin Cook, who's a very accomplished and capable running back. And the Bears have had trouble stopping the run, as we've seen, throughout these past several weeks. So this is, I wouldn't even call it a measuring stick because this is, the Vikings, as far as talent and where they're at, as far as their team is, built, they're ahead of the Bears right now. I might even put them at, slightly ahead of the Green Bay Packers as far as whether they've been able to play
Mm.
and put points on the board. And they've been the most consistent team in the division so far as well. So I mean, this is like I said before. This is going to be tough sledding with the potential to be a very rough game for the Bears. The Vikings are very dominant at home. It's a loud building, and you got a young quarterback who's still trying to develop and has a lot of room to grow still. So, hopefully it doesn't get too ugly. But
Yeah.
it does have the potential to be really, really ugly today.
Yeah, no, I mean it's one like I said, it's one of those things where you're just like, man, you're from a neutral perspective, it could go either way. But yeah, this week it definitely doesn't favor the Bears in any way. You did mention him before, Dalvin Cook. With between him and Jefferson, who do you think is going to be more important or the key to stopping the Vikings this week?
Well, you know, as mentioned before, as we, if you've been watching, you know, uh, week in and week out, the Bears do have very difficult time stopping the run. With that said, the receiver Jefferson for the Vikings is a monster, and he can wreck a game for you. And he has the ability to take over a game. You have to do what you got to do what you got to do to contain Jefferson and keep him from blowing the top off your defense, play in and play out. We've seen it the first week of the season. He's capable of doing it week in and week out. Um, Dalvin Cook hasn't looked like Dalvin Cook.
Hmm.
I mean, he's very capable and accomplished. But I would rather take my chances. Even the Bears, even though the Bears have trouble stopping the run, you can't let Jefferson, you know, destroy the game. You gotta contain him.
Yeah, yeah, and especially with Cook in the sense of like that you are right that he hasn't looked like himself. He's got one touchdown so far, but I was kind of thinking about it, and I'm just like, what a perfect game to break out or to just have a classic Dalvin Cook performance this week. So hopefully that's not the case, and and the thing is too is that Kirk Cousins has been leading them to comebacks in the last 2 weeks, at least in the fourth quarter. Obviously, last week They were helped out in London with that double doink by Will Lutz. But Kirk Cousins obviously, is one of those types of quarterbacks that always leaves something to be desired. But I mean, as long as you're getting wins in this case, 3-1. I don't think that really matters. But speaking of quarterbacks, though, with Justin Fields, he actually threw his career high in passing yards last year against the Vikings. Do you expect? I know, week by week, the Bears coaching staff is saying they're seeing progress here. But from the fan perspective, even from the media perspective, they just don't see it. But what do you expect to see from the young QB today?
Well, I mean, the thing about this is, you know, when we talk about so hard to win in the NFL, and especially if you got a developing quarterback and a developing roster, and all those things kind of, compound on themselves, and you know, in right now it kind of looks like a mess. So they haven't been able to pass protect very well. Um, you know, he hasn't, Justin Fields hasn't been able to deliver the ball on time when he does have time, and then when he does deliver the ball, the receivers aren't catching it.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's just this big mess. Um, but what I do hope to see from, Justin Fields is a better understanding of the game plan and the timing of it all, and getting the ball out on time. We talked about this last week. And he did better last week with getting the ball out on time. There's a few times that he took the ball and ran when he could have, thrown it to thrown it for a short game. But over the course of the season, he's going to have to learn that he needs to preserve himself,
Hmm.
as the starting quarterback, and not, take that many hits. And he has to also have faith in, faith. I won't say trust. I have to say faith right
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
Saying in his teammates, opportunity as well. That's the only way that you can build trust, is by giving them opportunities to make plays. And it's just one of those messy things right now when you have a very young team. And with that being said, I'm looking forward to the Bears, you know, calling plays to get them in the room early. The book is out on the Bears right now. They got a strong running attack, and run up field to beat them. You have to put the game plan, that's position to succeed and get those easy wins. And he has to be able to, be willing. I'm saying,
Hmm.
each down is a battle, in the overall war of the game, and he's going to have to be willing, you know, to take those easy wins. Sometimes, don't take those sacks. What I'm saying? Throw the ball away.
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
Hmm.
It might only be a two. What I'm saying? It might be only a 2 yard gain, but at least you're still on schedule. You're still moving the ball. So those are the things that you're gonna have to learn to understand. He's gonna have to learn to understand. It's not like Ohio State when you can hit a home run every play.
Hmm.
Sometimes you got to dink and dunk down the field. You're not going to be able to outrun everybody in the NFL, week in and week out. It's not going to happen. And, there's tape. These coaches are game planning to stop him, you know, and they know he has a tendency to bootleg and then reverse out of it. That's been scouted. I think they did a better job next week of keeping him out of those last week and keeping him out of those situations. But these are the things that he's going to have to, do his homework on, and, trust the play callers and the players around him.
Yeah, no, and you make a good point with the pressure thing because I did look at that. There was a tweet I saw that Justin Fields was under pressure on over 51% of the dropbacks against the Giants, and on plays where he was kept clean, he went 10 for 14 with 168 yards and a PFF grade of 90.3. So, yeah, when there's no pressure on him, or when he's not being pressured like that, or he's being protected well, I should say, he's obviously playing well and playing more comfortably. So,
And here's the thing, like I'm glad you mentioned that because
mhm,
when we talk about pressure, I hear a lot of people talking, armchair quarterbacks talking about he's not well under pressure, he's not good under. No quarterback is good under pressure,
yeah,
and he has been under siege. So you know they really do need to shore up that offensive line and that pass blocking to to help him out in his development. And even the great ones, you hit them a few times, they will fold. That happens,
hmm
even to the great ones. We've seen it time and time again. You know, so it is what it is. They got to figure out a way to, like you said, keep them clean. And I'm glad you brought that stat up because that's very
hmm
important. You got to figure out
hmm
a way to keep them clean. And he also has to figure out a way to protect himself. And sometimes it's better to just throw the ball away than to run around back there and take a hit.
Yeah, no, 100%. And this thing too is that uh Luke Getzey kind of mentioned it, the Bears offensive coordinator mentioned it in saying that Fields, shouldn't has to know when to throw it away and also has to get better at kind of the cheap little like first downs because in a lot of the plays he'll be looking, looking forward and just not being able to find someone downfield when there's somebody that he could just, get that little, cheap throw over here and gotta get the either the first down or just get, progress on the play instead of a sack or whatever. So other than that, there also is more injuries. Montgomery's going to play today. No Jalen Johnson though, and no Cody White here. Kind of wanted to get your take on obviously the Bears are going to miss this guy. But I think I was going to ask to what extent do you think the Bears are going to miss Cody White here?
I think they're going to miss him tremendously. Lucas Patrick stepped in for him last week on the in the left at the left guard position, and immediately he got bulldozed. And now Wink Martindale, um, and then they came up with a great game plan to send pressure up the middle, and they were able to affect Justin Fields that way. And I
Mm-hmm.
look, for the Vikings have a pretty solid defensive line, and so that pressure up the middle is going to be very important because now if you get pressure up the middle, you got the defensive ends who know to stay upfield and not, come in too quickly on Justin Fields. It has potential to be a very dangerous game for Justin Fields, with Cody Whitehair out. But Patrick is a guy that he's a guy that Getsy and the offensive staff is very familiar with. Uh, and so he's going to have to step up and do a good job against that Vikings front. And it's not going to be easy. We saw what they were able to do against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in week one. What do you think they can do against the Bears this week at home?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I mean, that they definitely seem, more dangerous than I think people give them credit for sure, especially on the offensive end and the types of pieces they have. One more thing, we're gonna be doing this segment every week in the sense of predictions. What do you see this as your prediction for this week between the Bears and the Vikings?
Well, you actually said something that kind of, led me to this prediction, and it's about, we talked about it. Justin Fields taking those easy wins, taking those
hmm
layups, and taking those check downs. And so I think this is a game and a team that the tight end should be, and really important. And I expect Cole Kmet, to kind of be that security blanket this game and have a breakout game. I think this is the prime opportunity. They're going to be loading up to stop the run because that's the only thing the Bears are capable of doing on offense. And so I think there will be plays to be made, underneath. Um, um, and I think Cole Kmet could have a big game in sort of that middle of the field, flat curl area. So I think I'm looking for Cole Kmet to have a big game or a game of redemption.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's definitely something I think, we've seen a little bit of Mooney last week. And hopefully, that we see more of Komet in the passing game. But mine is gonna be with Mooney. I think Mooney's gonna get a touchdown today. Hopefully, I'm banking on just more progress on that end, and in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of the throwing game. So the passing game. So hopefully the Bears are able to do that and much more. All right, so that'll do it for the Week 5 War Media Bears pregame, and for Saul Rodriguez and Joe Tanksley. I hope everyone enjoys the game.
Peace.